I really shouldn't do videos sat like this. I'm too bloody comfortable. I say. Hello chaps, I hope you are well. It's it's a pretty pleasant day here in Gloucestershire, if a bit cold, but I guess if that's summer, we've had it, and we're well into our autumn season. Now, I've got a bit of an apology to make. I know that I've been away for a bit, and the reason for that is that very recently I set up my own business outside the world of YouTube, and those of you who've ever done such a thing will know that setting up your own business actually takes up quite a lot of time, and so I've been doing that with almost all the waking hours of the day. So apologies for that, but now I'm back, and to kick things off, we're going to be doing a post-review review. So then chaps, you'll remember that in my very first YouTube video, the first product that I reviewed was the Beldray 12-in-1 multifunctional steam cleaner, with its very catchy title. And we've been living with it for a few months, well, probably almost a year now, so I thought I'd just give you the heads up on what it's like to use on a regular basis. And the reason for that is that I was reminded by a YouTube viewer who goes by In the Name of Justice, with a fist as his logo, In the Name of Justice, who says, where's the update on the Beldray steam cleaner? So here it is, and this is it. We've been using it for quite a while, like I say, and it's not bad. I'd say it's 50-50, to be honest, on the basis that whilst the main thing it advertises is cleaning the floor, it does very well. The 12-in-1 thing is not as impressive, but we'll go into that a bit later on. But first, let's just talk about the way this thing cleans the floor. So then chaps, those of you who have watched the original YouTube video will know that we unboxed the unit and we tried it out on my kitchen floor. Now at the time it seemed like it was doing a good job, but the problem is our kitchen floor is made of very old tiles which are sort of knobbly and bobbly and not smooth, and after a while pushing it backwards and forwards, the microfiber pad on the bottom of the cleaner, it does sometimes catch and sort of rip it off. So be wary of that if you're not using it on a perfectly smooth surface. When it comes to perfectly smooth surfaces, our living room has a laminate floor, and the kitchen upstairs, the bathroom upstairs, has a smooth tile floor, and it cleans both of those exceptionally well. It really is good at cleaning the floor. It's very easy to use. It's much easier than mopping, because of course when you mop, you sort of get water on the mop, put it on, and then you sort of get it off again, whereas with this you just push it backwards and forwards and that's it. And it's much cleaner than a mop as well. I think with a mop you just end up pushing a lot of dirty water around. So with this it's very good. Now, as you remember, this is the unit. You've got the sort of mop head at the bottom here, you've got the reservoir and the handheld thing here which pops out, and then the handle at the top here. And in the video that I did before, I was having trouble putting the handle down. I think it was just because it's new, because now it's very simple. It clicks into place. Once you've done it a couple of times, it sort of eases it out a bit better. I'll just leave that down for this video. One thing I will mention though is that this plastic boss at the bottom here, which is what you put your foot on the mop head to bring it down, and that's how you get the movement. It's not very strong, and just by having this stored in the cupboard with water in the reservoir means that the centre of gravity is up here, and this is pushing on this plastic boss, so that after a while it started to sort of lean forward, and that's become its natural position. So it's worth noting that if you're going to be storing this upright, which I guess you would be, because I'm not sure how else you would store it, you might want to empty the water tank out, because after a while that's starting to become its sort of natural position, and it's sort of leaning off to the side as well, so it's sort of forward and off to the side. that means, of course, that every time I go into the cupboard to get something else, if you tap it, it's very easily going to fall over. So maybe a bit of a design flaw there. This should have been a bit of a stronger arrangement down the bottom here. But, you know, I'm nitpicking really. When it comes to cleaning the floor, this does a very, very good job. So we've established that it's good on floors, but let's talk about the handheld side of the unit, which of course is this. Now I've just taken out the reservoir for a minute, because if you'll remember in the original YouTube video I mentioned that once you filled it up with water, this thing is quite cumbersome. So this is the reservoir here. You take this to the sink and fill it up with water, and then you pop it in here like this. Now when this is full, and this is only half full, I mean, it's not heavy to hold like this, but the problem is the trigger for the steam is here, which is at the very far end of the whole unit. And with this full of water, all of the weight is here. And obviously there are a certain amount of gubbins in here, which is, you know, makes the steam, which is highly technical that I don't understand, but obviously that gives some weight to the unit as well. So you're using this at the very far end, and just to hold it like this is, you know, it's okay, but when you're using it to actually clean, and if you've got one of the brush attachments, you need to use a certain amount of sort of lateral force to clean something. And so with one hand, that's quite difficult. Now, naturally, you just say, well, just use two hands to support it, but you can't do that because the heating element that creates the steam is situated somewhere here, well, it must be, as this gets very warm. So you're forced to use one hand because there's nowhere else really for you to hold it. You can't sort of do this because it's round, there's nowhere to grip. Sometimes you find yourself sort of doing this, in this sort of motion. But, you know, if you're, you know, imagine I'm cleaning the wall or the, you know, the tiles, that's very close to your body, and so it's not a natural position to be doing that sort of motion with. Not that doing that sort of motion is natural anyway. In fact, it looks a bit weird. It's a good job I've got the blinds closed because people have wondered what the hell I'm doing. Yes, I think that, you know, I'm not sure how you'd make this lighter given that all the technology that needs to be inside to make the steam. But I think that some way of holding it needs to be adapted, even if there was just a sort of, you know, machine gun style handle on the side that you could just use this for, because that is quite hefty for one-handed use. So chaps, I've tried it in the bathroom and I've tried it in the kitchen for various things. I tried it in the bathroom on the tiles, and I have to say that it is very good. Once you've overcome the fact that you've got to do this thing one-handed, it does actually clean the grout in tiles very well. The only thing I will say is that when it comes to these attachments, where's the one for the tiles? This one here, for example. This section here is the thing that you need to use for all attachments. These twist off and go back on for use with the attachments. I say that, I can't get it back on, there we go. So all the extra bits attached to this long sort of arm. So if you lose this, you can't use any of the attachments. You need this bit to go into the end of this, like that. Now the problem is that if you're using this to, say, clean the tiles, you're forced to use it like this. And the problem is that if you're doing a tile or whatever that's down low, you can't, you know, you have to turn the unit upside down to be able to do that. So then you're forced to use this. You're doing the tiles like this, and that's fine as long as they're sort of level with you or above you, but if you want to do one that's down there, you've either got to kneel down and do it like this, or you've got to sort of twist it and do it like that. So that's not great. I mean, I think this might be able to come off and go on the other way, which it is, but again, because of how vertical that is, that's not easy to do straight with one hand, especially given the angle of this. That's like that, flat against the wall, and then your hand's got to be up here like this, so you've got to, if I just stand up, you've got to sort of do it like that And that again is not a very natural or comfortable position to be cleaning with, especially if you're cleaning the whole bathroom, say, you know, every week with this. It's quite unintuitive, let's say. And again, the brushes, this smaller brush and the larger brush and the shooting around corners bit are all kind of angled with that in mind. So yeah, something to note that it's a bit unusual to be using it in that position. So aside from the weird attachment worries that I've got in terms of shooting things around corners with odd bits and pieces and trying to use these in a way that's comfortable, once you have got some sort of technique for using it, it actually cleans bathroom tiles very well, certainly the grout in between the two. Now I also tried it on the shower screen. We have a shower screen in our bathroom rather than a curtain, and anyone who has one of those will know that within a week the watermarks build up and they get quite grimy. So I tried it on that. Now I used this sort of window cleaning squeegee to begin with, and although I thought it was doing quite a good job, it basically just heated up the screen and caused a lot of steam, and it looked like it was cleaning it, but actually once it was dry you could see that the marks were still there. So this comes with the little Granny's shower cap attachment, which you slide over the top, and this gives a sort of, again, a microfiber pad finish. So this gets the grime off, and although you've got to do a fair bit of scrubbing, it does work. Having said that, I could just do a fair bit of scrubbing with a sponge and get it off, and my wrists wouldn't be knackered by the fact that I've been holding this. So, you know, shower screens maybe not as great, certainly not as good as it was on the tiles. Now, given that, I also tried it on the oven using this brush, these with the sort of dense bristles in the middle, and also with the scraper, and I found that it didn't really work at all. It certainly wasn't as good as the oven pride that we used, but then again, that is sort of neat acid. I found that what it did was, with this attachment, I have this brush on the end here, if I can just get that on to show you. I have this brush on the end like this, and I tried it on the oven door and a bit on the inside. I'm sure steam is hot enough to get grease off. The problem is that as soon as it comes out of here, it's actually coming out of this point here. The steam sort of does make it down to the end, but almost by the time it hits the oven, it's condensed back into water. So it's too cool to get grease off. So I found that it didn't really work on the oven very well. But all in all, it's you know, it was 30 quid, and I'd say that for cleaning the floor, I'm more than happy with it. I think the 12-in-1 claim is something maybe to, you know, it's just a marketing ploy to get you to buy it, and you know, it worked for me. But it's certainly very good on the floor, and you know, we're going to be using it for quite a while. So yes, like I say, 50-50. Good on floors, bad on oven doors. I'm a poet and I don't know it. I say.